It used to be that picking a software tool for your daily work was, it was a lot like walking into a classic diner and just ordering off a laminated menu.
Right, you had your standard option.
Exactly. You had your word processor, your spreadsheet, your web browser. The options were totally finite. You looked at the list, you picked one, and you basically knew exactly what you were getting.
Yeah, the landscape was static.
Yeah.
Which, it made the categories neat and the use cases highly predictable. You bought a license, you installed the software, and you just didn't think about it again for like 3 years.
Right. But stepping into the world of AI right now, it feels less like a quiet diner and more like, I don't know, walking onto the trading floor of the stock exchange during a massive market surge.
Oh, totally. It's chaotic.
It is just constant, deafening noise because you, the person listening to this right now, you are navigating a world flooded with a new model release literally every single week. It's like, use this one. No, wait, this one is smarter. No, this one has a larger context window.
And the sheer volume of options just becomes a barrier to productivity.
Yes, exactly.
When the market moves at that breakneck speed, choice paralysis is the natural byproduct. We see users constantly switching tools, migrating workflows, and just losing hours trying to figure out if they're even using the optimal engine for their specific task.
So today, that is our mission. We are cutting through all that noise. We are doing a deep dive into the ultimate 2026 AI benchmark rankings from picksbymodel.com.
Fantastic data set.
It really is. And our goal today isn't just to find the smartest, most brainiac AI on the market. We want to uncover the best value for your specific needs. Because what's best for a Fortune 500 enterprise might be massive overkill for a solo developer or someone just trying to automate their inbox.
Well, yeah, the theoretical maxims of artificial intelligence are fascinating, obviously. But the practical, everyday realities of integrating these tools into an actual budget, that's what actually matters to a business.
Yeah, exactly. And to set the scene here, let's just talk about the sheer scale of the data we're looking at. The team at picksbymodel.com scanned a staggering 335 different AI models.
Which is a huge number.
335. But out of that massive ocean of artificial intelligence, we're only looking at the 48 that actually earned a ranking. 287 models were just tossed into what the source calls the limited data pile.
Right, and they do that for a very specific reason. The methodology uses this mechanism called the coverage gate to filter out the noise.
Okay, the coverage gate. How does that work?
So to even get a rank on this board, a model had to be tested on at least 4 out of 5 rigorous independent benchmark suites. We aren't talking about, simple spelling and grammar tests here.
Right, like write a poem about a cat.
Exactly, not that.
Huh?
We're talking about massive evaluation hurdles. For instance, they use ADER, which is an incredibly demanding software engineering benchmark.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't just ask the AI to write a basic hello world script.
Yeah.
It tests whether the model can actually understand an entire complex code base, find bugs, and then integrate new features seamlessly.
Wow. So it's testing practical applied intelligence, not just like theoretical knowledge.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And then there is artificial analysis, which rigorously evaluates general intelligence and, crucially, agentic capabilities.
Okay, let's pause on that term for a second because we hear the word agent thrown around a lot. We are talking about an AI's ability to act autonomously, right? Not just answering a question, but actually taking an action in the real world.
Yeah, think of it as the difference between asking for a recipe and asking someone to actually cook the meal for you.
Oh, I like that.
A standard chatbot, it'll just list the ingredients you need. But an AI agent will take your request, connect to a grocery delivery service through an API.
Which is an application programming interface, right?
Right, exactly, which is basically the digital bridge that lets 2 different software systems talk to each other.
Right.
So the agent uses that API, puts those ingredients in a digital cart, and literally processes the payment.
That's wild.
It is.
Yeah.
And artificial analysis tests if a model can reliably execute those complex, multi-step, autonomous actions without hallucinating or just completely breaking down.
Okay, and then on top of all that hard logic, they have to pass EQ bench, which evaluates emotional intelligence. And why does a computer need emotional intelligence?
Well, because humans are using these tools for customer service, therapy apps, and really delicate corporate communications.
Oh, true.
Right. An AI that solves a technical problem but responds with an incredibly condescending or inappropriate tone is completely useless in a commercial setting. So EQ Bench tests nuance, empathy, and social context.
This makes me think of an Olympic decathlon.
Oh, that's a good way to look at it.
Yeah, like you can't just show up to the Olympics, run a record-breaking 100-meter dash, and then tell the judges, yeah, I'm going to skip the long jump and the shot put. Just hand me my gold medal. You have to prove you are a well-rounded athlete. If you skip the heavy lifting, you're out.
The decathlon is exactly the right analogy.
Yeah.
And the judges for this event use a mathematical system called normalization to keep the scores honest. It basically prevents a model from juicing its overall ranking by only taking the easiest tests.
Okay, let's unpack this. What does normalization actually mean behind the scenes?
Think of it like adjusting test scores for a headwind in track and field. A 10-second sprint with a massive tailwind pushing you isn't the same achievement as a 10.2-second sprint running straight into a gale.
Okay, that makes sense.
So if an AI takes a very basic text summarization test and scores a 99, and another model takes a brutally complex multi-layered coding exam and scores an 85, raw numbers would tell you the first model is smarter.
Right, because 99 is higher.
Exactly. But normalization mathematically weights the scores based on the difficulty of the benchmark. It levels the playing field, so the final score represents genuine, stress-tested capability.
So there is no padding your GPA with easy electives.
None at all.
The grading curve is completely ruthless, which means if a model makes it to the top of this list, it earned every single point. So let's look at that photo finish at the top. The heavyweights, the absolute peak of 2026 AI performance.
The engineering achievements in this top tier, they are pushing the boundaries of what we thought was computationally possible, even a year ago.
Taking the crown, we have Claude Fable 5. It holds a perfect normalized score of 100, and it boasts a massive 1 million context window. But right on its heels, in a virtual tie, we have GPT 5.5 and Claude Opus 4.8. Both of those models scored an incredibly close 99.
A single point of difference separating the top 3 models in the world.
It's crazy.
In that 1 million context window on Fable 5, that means the model can hold roughly the equivalent of several massive, dense textbooks in its active memory at any given second.
Wow.
You can drop an entire company's financial history into the prompt, and it remembers every single line item while interacting with you.
Okay, but before we crown Fable 5 the absolute undisputed champion for every user out there, we need to talk about the pricing. Let's run the math on this because the contrast is stark. Claude Fable 5, the king with the perfect 100 score, costs $10 for input and $50 for output per million tokens.
So we should probably define what a token actually is for the listener, because it's the fundamental currency of this entire industry.
Let's do it, because a token isn't just a word, right?
Right. Think of a token as a piece of a word, somewhat similar to a syllable. A short, common word like apple might be one token, but a complex word like anthropomorphism might be broken down by the AI into 3 or 4 tokens.
Okay, got it.
As a rough rule of thumb, about 750 words is equal to 1,000 tokens. So when we talk about 1 million tokens, we're talking about roughly 750,000 words of data.
That is a lot of reading. And we also need to clarify why input and output are priced so differently. Fable 5 charges $10 to read 1 million tokens of input, but a massive $50 to generate 1 million tokens of output. Why am I paying 5 times more just to get the answer?
Well, input is comprehension. The model is absorbing a fixed existing string of text. Output is generation. To write a new sentence, the model has to calculate the mathematical probabilities for the next best token, literally billions of times per second, while keeping the entire context in mind.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. Comprehension is computationally cheap, relatively speaking. Creation is incredibly energy-intensive and requires far more server processing power.
That makes perfect sense. So taking that pricing back to our top 3 models, Fable 5 is $10 for input, $50 for output, but the runners-up GPT 5.5 and Opus 4.8, which scored that 99, they're basically half the price. You're looking at $5 for input and $30 or $25 for output per million tokens. So I have to ask, is that single point of performance between a 99 and a 100 really worth paying double?
What's fascinating here is that we're looking at the economic premium companies are willing to pay for absolute perfection versus practical application. For writing an email, drafting a marketing brief, or, coding a standard web application, that 1 point difference is completely imperceptible.
So if the 100 score is basically an insurance policy for billionaires and massive corporations, who is actually paying that double rate?
Think about pharmaceutical companies using an AI agent to comb through decades of clinical trial data to find a singular life-saving anomaly. Or high-frequency trading firms where a logic error in an automated script could cost $10 million in 3 seconds.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
In those high-stakes environments, you don't want the 99. You want the 100. You're paying double the price for the guarantee that you are using the absolute cutting edge of human-engineered intelligence. You are paying for the safety of knowing literally nothing better exists.
Okay, so at the absolute top tier is for enterprises doing life or death data crunching. There has to be a tier for the rest of us. The power users, the mid-sized businesses, the developers who need elite reliability but have actual fixed operational budgets. Where is the smart money?
The data points very clearly to the number 4 ranked model, GPT 5.4.
It is sitting comfortably at number 4 overall with a highly respectable score of 96. And the pricing is where we hit the ultimate diminishing returns curve. Because remember, to go from 99 to 100, the price doubled. But here, dropping just 4 points from that absolute top spot from 100 down to 96 brings the price crashing down. You go from $50 for output all the way down to $15 per million tokens. The input is just $2.50.
It's a staggering reduction in operating cost for a dip in capability that most users will literally never encounter. A 96 on this normalized scale means it easily passed the ADER coding tests, the EQ bench, the agentic tests. The only things a 96 struggles with that a 100 doesn't are absolute fringe edge cases.
It makes me think of buying a car. Claude Fable 5 is the $1 million track-only hypercar. It breaks every land speed record, but taking it to the grocery store is just a ridiculous waste of money and engineering.
Right.
But GPT 5.4 is the high-end sports car. It's sleek, it's incredibly fast, it still easily beats 99% of traffic on the road, but you're paying a fraction of the cost, and it's built for daily driving.
And the source material specifically highlights GPT 5.4 as the best high-end value for exactly that reason. It is the pragmatic choice for serious deployment. If you are building an application that serves thousands of regular users, this is where you optimize your back-end API costs without delivering a noticeably inferior product.
Okay, so we've seen the absolute peak, and we've seen the high-end smart money value. Let's keep traveling down this pricing curve, because what happens at the floor? How cheap can we get without sacrificing too much intelligence?
The bottom of the market is where the landscape shifts from evolutionary to revolutionary. We start looking at models that are actively disrupting established business models.
Let's zero in on the value picks category from the data. Specifically, the model that ranked number 9 overall, DeepSeek V4 Pro. Let's look at the actual math on this one. DeepSeek V4 Pro survived the exact same gauntlet as Fable 5. It took the ADER tests, the EQ tests, the artificial analysis tests, and it earned a very solid score of 88.
Which means it's highly competent. I mean, an 88 on a normalized scale that defeated nearly 300 other models is a massive technical achievement.
But the price is 43 cents for input and 87 cents for output. It averages out to around 65 cents per million tokens. 65 cents.
It's unbelievable.
Contrast that directly with the King, Fable 5, which charges $50 for a million output tokens. You are dropping from $50 to literal pennies for a model that still scores an 88. Here's where it gets really interesting.
Yeah, this raises the most important question for developers right now. What does getting an 88 score intelligence for pennies actually enable? Because it completely changes the landscape of what is computationally viable.
Right. How does a 65-cent model change a business, practically speaking?
Well, think about applications that require massive, continuous volume. Let's say you want an AI to read 100,000 incoming customer support emails every single day, categorize them by urgency, check the customer's purchase history via an API, and draft a custom response for a human agent to review.
Okay.
You simply cannot do that financially at $50 million tokens. It would bankrupt a startup in a week.
Yeah, the server cost would be insane.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But at 65 cents, suddenly pervasive, always-on AI isn't just for massive corporations. It empowers a single developer to build an application that utilizes tens of thousands of agentic interactions an hour.
It completely democratizes the capability. The financial barrier to entry just evaporates. And DeepSeek isn't the only one doing this. To give you the full picture on these value picks, we also have Kimi K2.6. It actually beat DeepSeek by 1 point, scoring an 89 and ranking number 8 overall. Its price is roughly $2.04 per million tokens.
Right.
And then there's GLM 5, which scored an 85, running at about $1.26 per million. There is a whole tier of hyper-affordable, highly capable models fighting a turf war at the bottom of the pricing floor.
The sheer architectural efficiency required to offer that level of intelligence for under $2 is remarkable. They are optimizing for specific high-volume use cases rather than general over-engineering. It's a massive win for consumers and developers alike.
To round out the ecosystem and give you the complete landscape of the elite top 10 before we wrap up, we need to acknowledge the remaining heavy hitters that fill in the gaps between the kings and the budget disruptors.
The stalwarts holding their ground in the mid-tier.
Exactly. We have Google's Gemini 3.1 Pro sitting strong at number 5 with a score of 92. Then Claude Opus 4.7 is right behind it at number 6 with a 91. GPT 5.2 takes the number 7 spot with an 89. And finally, Claude Opus 4.5 rounds out the bottom of the elite top tier, taking the number 10 spot with a score of 87.
If we connect this to the bigger picture and really look at the broader pattern of that top 10 list, the absolute dominance of the Claude and GPT families is impossible to ignore.
Let me count. Fable 5, GPT 5.5, Opus 4.8, GPT 5.4, Opus 4.7, GPT 5.2, Opus 4.5. Wow, they take up 7 of the top 10 spots.
Yeah, they are essentially monopolizing the elite high-performance rankings. They have built an incredibly wide moat of pure capability, backed by billions of dollars in server infrastructure. The newer challenger models, like DeepSeek, Kimi, and GLM, they recognize they can't quite dethrone them on raw, unadulterated intelligence yet. So they attack the bottom of the market, offering 85 to 89 level performance for fractions of a dollar.
It's a classic market squeeze. The big players own the premium space, charging a massive premium for perfection, and the challengers are aggressively undercutting them to win over developers who need volume over perfection.
And that dynamic is exactly what is driving the rapid evolution we are seeing month over month. The premium models have to keep getting demonstrably smarter to justify their high prices, while the budget models have to keep getting cheaper while maintaining competence to steal market share.
So, bringing this all together for you, the listener. Whether you are the massive enterprise that requires the absolute flawless 100 of Claude Fable 5 to parse pharmaceutical data, or the power user seeking the smart $15 compromise of GPT 5.4, or the startup developer leveraging the stunning 65-cent budget disruption of DeepSeek V4 Pro to read thousands of emails, the data proves that the best model entirely depends on your budget and your specific use case.
The rankings provide the map. They show you exactly what kind of intelligence you get for your money. But you still have to choose the destination that makes the most economic sense for the problem you are trying to solve.
And as we all know too well, AI moves at breakneck speed. This landscape won't stay static for long. You can and should check pixbymodel.com for their daily updates because these rankings, these API costs, and these normalized scores shift constantly as new updates drop.
And as we watch these shifts happen, I want to leave you with this thought to consider. If a highly capable 88 scoring AI, something that outsmarts hundreds of other models on complex coding and emotional intelligence benchmarks, is already available for fractions of a penny today? What happens to human productivity when today's $50 perfect 100 elite models inevitably become tomorrow's budget-tier commodities?
Wow. When the absolute bleeding-edge peak becomes the baseline standard for everyone.
Exactly. What will you be able to create when genius-level artificial intelligence is practically free?
Suddenly, we aren't just looking at a laminated menu in a diner anymore. We're looking at a completely new world. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.